Hello, and welcome to this week's book review. The book I have chosen for this week is a book that is both of a personal nature as well as historical, because the book invites you into the life of the author, what it meant to be born in the 1920s as an Aboriginal person, and then quickly gives a historical overview of what that life looks like back in the 1920s and at present. In so many places, I laughed, and it was written by someone who is very funny. There were a few places of humor and joy, and some of the words and slangs used to refer to things, as well as the context of we have not been treated fairly as an Aboriginal person in Australia. This is the book titled Auntie Rita, a classical memoir of an Aboriginal woman's love and determination. It's written by herself, Rita Huggins, and her daughter, Jackie Huggins. Auntie Rita is one of those books that gives you an easy entry into the life of Aboriginal people, from being taken away from their homes and sent to reserves, you know, basically a place where they are cordoned off from the rest of society, and they needed a permit to leave that reserve, or they needed a permit to travel from one part of the country to the other. Say for a funeral, to bury their relatives, they needed a permit, and sometimes it was denied. Auntie Rita writes about her childhood, what it meant to be born free before the encounter with Europeans in Australia, and some of the joys of her early childhood, the friends she made and things they did. And with the arrival and invasion of Europeans, how their world changed, how her world changed. From the 20s down to the 50s, 60s, the activism that started to happen in the 60s and 70s, the referendum asking for change, and why some of these systemic issues persist. A question you might ask is, why this book? Why have I chosen this book, or why did I read this book? I think it's an easier path to understanding what it meant to be Aboriginal without having to go through the academic and heavily dense historical books. It's not a very lengthy book to read. It's one of those books where there was a lot of humor. She tells it the way she saw it from her own perspective, and she introduces and uses a family tree, because sometimes the names were a little bit, who is this person again? I kept asking, and then I referred to this family tree a number of times to be sure who this person is, which is very handy. In Auntie Rita, you also get to see how the value system, the culture of the Aboriginal people, what family meant. Family wasn't just 1, 2, 3 person. Family was sometimes 20 persons living in one roof. The laughter, the fights, as you can expect to happen. How she moved on from being a domestic help for white Europeans, and then how she built her life, and slowly to present day, having her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, what their funerals looked like. I really enjoyed that bit. The smoking ceremony, who married who had children out of wedlock, and what that meant for the person. Some of the punishments she had to endure because she was caught hanging out with boys. The education system, being educated as Aboriginals different from their white counterparts. I think this book is one of those books that, in as much as there is humor and laughter and plenty to celebrate how far Aboriginal people have come from far back, it's also a little depressing as to what they have endured and continue to endure. In many instances, I thought to myself, this is humans' cruelty to fellow humans. But Auntie Rita carefully was able to mesh those two narratives, the joy, the humor, what we did as young people, and how we had some parties going on and had some social life, in addition to all of this negativity and evil being perpetuated against us and our people. Jackie, who is her daughter, had a commentary. So you'd have Rita, the mom, who is the sole author, talking about her experiences, and then Jackie providing a rejoinder or a commentary as to that experience. I found that a little bit tricky because I would have preferred if the book was just Rita writing about her experience without the commentary as to this happened to you, this was wrong, this was cruel, and you shouldn't apologize for it. That's all true. I agree. But it gave it some heavy-handedness to the book in certain areas because you're reading this and you're thinking of this person's personal experience. And the commentary tended to give another perspective as to, yes, this happened to you and it's wrong. It shouldn't have happened. I would personally have enjoyed the book without that commentary. But it is vital to remind the reader that some of these things were cruel and shouldn't have happened. Auntie Rita is for anyone who, in a very easy to read way, wants to get introduced into the life of Aboriginal and Indigenous peoples of Australia. And I suspect it's similar everywhere in the world. What has been a life of pain and enduring systemic oppression, as well as what has been a life of making out something for themselves in spite of it all. I can see there is a stamp here saying this book went on to win an award, and that as it should. It was well written by Auntie Rita. And I will recommend this book to everyone who wants to have an easy. I keep using that word easy, not to mean a reading where there is no critical thinking or there is no self-reflection. I use that word easy to refer to a non-academic, heavily handed historical book. So when I say easy, that's what I mean. Introduction into the life of Aboriginal people and some of the things they got up to as kids, as young adults, and as elders. So please pick up this book if this is something you would want to be introduced to. I'm happy I did because it has now given me new insights into this world, which I, outside of popular media, what the media showed and said about Aboriginal people, reading from the perspective and experience of an Aboriginal person. This gave me the other side of it, more like a balanced, nuanced view of their lives. So consider this book, consider it for knowledge, consider it for humor, and above all else, consider it for your own self-reflection and growth. Till next time, you stay well and keep reading. Take care. Bye.